we are going to talk now about the wood solutions I mentioned when it comes to your deck. So come on out here, Sharon, and let's talk about how you have to treat your wood properly, or things can go terribly wrong. So when it comes to prep, what's the first thing you need to always keep in mind?
The most important step, I would say, is sanding. That's one thing that people don't do when they decide they're going to clean it, they're going to do something else, they don't do the sanding. I would say that's probably the most important thing.
Okay.
Regular maintenance, the reality is you do have to do regular maintenance on exterior wood. So it's just, it gets the
It's
sun,
just the way it is.
Mildew, it gets all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So there's a preparation, I would say, is 70% of the job. The actual staining, or whether you're using a solid stain, a semi-transparent stain, all of that stuff doesn't take up as much time, but it's so important that you do the preparation before. So
okay, so we've got a good example of that.
Yes.
You know, wood, a deck that's been treated properly.
Yeah, you really want to clean it off.
It
like
has been
shows.
cleaned. This was pressure washed, right?
Exactly.
You can
do the
definitely
pressure
see
wash,
the difference.
And we also use the Restore product, which actually gets rid of heavy-duty weathered wood. So in this case, it was in a very shady area. There was lots of mildew. So pressure washing with the Restore, just you can see how, wow, it just came right off. That gives you a good surface to prepare in order to start staining and putting on whatever beautiful color you want. But in some cases, you know, I often get people say, well, it's not, it didn't stick, or it's washing off, or that kind of thing. So there's another example of somebody who will remain anonymous, but she did send in a picture with a deck.
They didn't do the right thing.
They didn't do the right thing. So I think it's a matter of the preparation. When the stain hasn't gone on, if the stain is sitting on the area like it is here, you can see it just looks very watery. So it didn't actually penetrate. So when you're putting on a stain on wood, it actually is meant to go into the wood, and that way there's nothing on top. So in this case, what I would suggest doing is sanding the whole thing if you want. That's one thing you can absolutely do. Get rid of all of the surface stain, or you could use remove finish remover. So that it's like nail polish remover. You know, you put it on, let it sit, hose it off, and then you get back to the natural wood, and that's where you'll want to do the proper preparation. Give it a good sand. Start from the beginning.
How, like that's pretty labor intensive. I just picture a cotton ball.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said nail polish remover.
So can you just throw down the whole thing of it and just mop it off?
You can mop it on and then hose it off. So it actually is fairly simple. And when I say sanding, I don't mean like you have to plug in a sander, okay? Like you can just use a pole sander. It's important that you use an 80 grit sandpaper, so nothing finer than that, otherwise you're almost closing the pores. So you want to use an 80 grit pole sander, you know, when you're ready to do that. Now I've got a couple of different products that you can use as far as finishes, because just like the interior, we give you lots of options. So it's about the aesthetics as well. So if you get your wood down to raw wood again, you have more options. You can certainly use more of the translucent, transparent. So I wanted to show the difference between typical pressure treated. There's some new pressure treated that isn't green, but in this case I've got the typical pressure treated and cedar. So I've shown the same product. So here we've got a translucent product that's a one step, and I used a color called silver gray. In these, they're ready mixed. They're very translucent. So you don't have a lot of options in color, but you've got the natural wood colors, and then you have the silver gray. So I showed the silver gray here. And then in the transparent, where you see more of the wood, less of the color. It's the same color, silver gray, but you can see how you don't see as much of the white here. So it's just even that much more transparent. So same thing with this one, though. You need to put a top coat on it. So you need to use the Arbor Coat top coat sealer. So it's a two-part process that really protects from the UV and the water.
Good to know.
Then you get into semi-transparent, and when you get into semi-transparent, you can use a lot of different colors. There's around 75 different colors. Here I used Chelsea gray, which is one of my favorites.
That's lovely.
And then in semi-solid, you get a little more opaque. Exactly. So it hides some more of the imperfections, and that's also the same color, Chelsea gray. And then when you've got you know, if you want it to look solid or you want it to cover more imperfections, go into the solids. And one thing that I think is fantastic is we finally got pint samples of exterior stain.
Oh, good.
So you can see how different everything looks on different woods, so it's really important to try it out outside.
It's usually a
want.
fairly large area, so you want to make sure that you've done a little bit of a tester to make sure that it's working for you.
So try it out first.
Yeah, very good. Lots of options out there, more and more each year.
And we'll put more tips online as well.